What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are doing the episode where I critique the submissions that you guys sent in for me to review. The number of submissions that I received was mind-blowing. Over 150. I was thinking I'd be lucky if I got 10 or 20. I was stunned by everybody's enthusiasm, but it slowed me down because I had to go through everybody's submissions. I went through literally every video to check out and see what you sent me. And man, there were so many good videos ranging from guys who are obviously learning and beginners but putting in a lot of effort up to intermediate and advanced guys. It was so exciting going through everything, but man, it took a long time to go through all the footage. We were talking about days of siphoning through, downloading, getting rid of some videos, putting some videos in the keep pile. So I am super excited today to share with you these submissions which I chose. Now keep in mind that I will be doing a follow-up episode to this one, no doubt. Our next one is going to be me critiquing your fight or sparring footage. If you guys want to get on that, my email is down below. You can start submitting your footage right now, and the submission deadline will last 2 weeks. So if you want to get some sparring footage, collect some sparring footage, and then send it in, that is fantastic. Please make sure that you have a 1080p or plus camera. Make sure that it's nice and bright, and if you can, make sure you're filming horizontal, not vertical. So without further ado, guys, let's get into this episode. Here we go, guys. If you did not make it into this episode, don't fret, we'll have many more to come. And like I said, it was so hard to choose. I had to condense down 150 to something like 6 or 7. I haven't even yet decided how many I'm gonna do because I don't know how long it's gonna take to film each of these little breakdowns. But if you're not included in this episode, I would love to get you in a future one. So make sure you get your fight footage or sparring submitted to the email in the description below. All right, our first submission is from Ronald, doing some outdoor shadow boxing. Now, guys, at first I should mention, I don't want this video to go on for an hour, so each person gets 3 or 4 critiques or things they're doing very well, and then we're gonna move on. So let's roll Ronald doing his shadow boxing. As we're going through, I'll give some notes. Now, the first thing I note on Ronald is he has a nice Muay Thai style with the elbows. You know, they're up, they're high, but you have a very wide stance. Those two seem like they might be opposing each other a little bit. If you're going to go into a wide stance, I would suggest, being a little bit more mobile, either going long arms or tight guard. But if you want the high elbows, I would stay fairly narrow so you're quick on your checks and you can skip and get those kicks off quickly. Just something to consider, making sure that you're trying to make your style as proficient as possible. Now, Ronald, I really like that skip into the punches. Good little setup, good fake, and nice speed behind it. And overall, your technique is looking very nice on the front kick. When we throw the front kick, generally we don't want to step forward. If you step forward, you're falling into possible counters. So when I throw my front kick, I always try and bring my foot back to where it started. If I do this, I should be following up and then catching the angle. Overall, very nice work. Ronald, keep it up, looking sharp. Next up, guys, we're looking at a clip from Max. Now, I was super impressed with these two guys because number one, Max, who's hitting the pads, looks fairly young. I'm always impressed with the young athletes getting good technique down early. And number two, his pad holder looks just as young as him. That's amazing. My brother and I did that when we were younger, holding for each other pretty much all the time. And throughout the years of working with each other over and over, we just both got so amazing at being the coach, the pad holder, but then also the striker. So Max, whether it's you and your brother or you and your friend, keep up the good work. Now let's look at this clip again. Like I said, you guys are looking sharp. I like the crispiness there. I'm going to give you 2 basic, really fast pointers. Number 1, when you finish that crispy jab cross, make sure your head is not off the center line for the body hook. I've talked about this many times. It should be 1, 2, and then head returns. If I drop further, that's fine. Head returns. I want to make sure my body shot, I'm not off on the side. A structured head between the feet will make that body shot kind of like I'm leaning and I touch, and it doesn't really hurt to the point where I can center up and rip through and put people right down. And then the next one is when you let that round kick go, the pivot is not quite as far as I'd like, but the heel is not disconnecting during that. If you can lift that heel up and increase that pivot so you end up right there, those are 2 things that will just make everything that much more sharp, that much crispier, and hopefully add extra power into your techniques. Other than that, looking amazing, Max. Keep up the hard work. Clip number 3, we are taking a look at Dylan. Dylan is doing some nice pad work. We got a nice clear image here. I'm impressed with your elbows, the fluidity from one to the other. Now, I will give you one thing to work on. It's only going to be one for you because overall, everything else was looking pretty good. I'd like to see just a little increase in power, a little increase in speed. Just try and boost it up just a tad. But other than that, everything is looking sharp. The one technical critique for you is going to be as you let those hand combos go. You have a couple times where you throw 4 punches and the speed is good, but one of the reasons the speed looks really fast, I saw you at first, I went, wow, nice speed, but then I started looking a little closer and I went, oh, as you throw your combo, the other hand is not coming back to the head, so it feels like it's really fast, but we want to make sure it's here, back to the cheek, back to the cheek, back to the cheek. It's gonna slow it up a little bit, but you're better off protecting your head with 1, 2, 3, 4. I can still let that go quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4, touching the cheek as opposed to where my hands don't make it back to my face for that full protection. So Dylan, add that in if you can. Other than that, looking fantastic. Moving on, we're now looking at Alex's bag work footage. I gotta say, I'm super impressed with you, Alex. I got a lot of submissions, and you're one of the few guys who, when you're hitting, you're going full out. I love it. You got the sound effects. I'm a big believer in making noise when you're hitting pads, letting that extra ha, ha, ha energy out. The kicks are looking crispy. I love how you mix in. You have a couple spinning hook kicks you throw. You have a Brazilian kick. The round kicks you're throwing are fast and crispy. I can't tell if you're doing a full pivot or not just because of the angle of the camera, but overall the kicks are looking lovely. Your hand speed is fantastic. The combos you throw, crispy. I'm gonna give you 3 pointers to work on today. All of them very basic. They will be very easy for you to correct and just move up to that next level. Number 1, when you throw your jab, it's fast jab by the way, but when you let it go, it drops just a tad. From there, you throw it straight out. Super, super speed on it, but it'll be even faster. Instead of dropping, when you're moving around, going whoop, 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 instead of doing that, just straight up, whoop, as fast as you can. And you're very, very good at when you throw your cross, drawing it right back to your head tight. Try the same thing with the jab sometimes. Point number 2, we're talking about your double jab. When you let the double jab go, there is a time and a place to go 1, 2, to throw 2 little shots, but sometimes right back to the jaw, because if somebody pop, pop, hits me twice, they go 1, 2, I'm gonna be looking to get my head off the center line and counter with the big overhand. Because when you double up and you keep it out, you don't drop back, your head is exposed for almost the length of 2 full punches. Not quite, but very close. And final point for you on an overall amazing submission is when you let your jab, your cross, and your hook go, the hook elbow is just a tad low. I'd like to see you sneak it up. When you throw hooks, you want to make sure that the line between your fist and your elbow is horizontal. Unless you're doing something a little different, like when you're dropping or coming upwards, but when you're coming on that angle, especially on a bag that is straight down vertical, elbow right behind the fist. Lovely submission. I had a lot of fun watching it. Thank you so much, Alex. Next, we get the pleasure of looking at a ferocious clip from David. David submitted a 30-second clip. Let's just look at it in one go. He is banging away, he is yelling, he has crispy technique, and he is throwing high volume. I'm a big fan of bag work exactly like David is doing, getting in there, making sure you're just grinding away non-stop. I will have a couple little pointers, very small, and one of the things that I'm not going to say is a critique, but something you can add in to make your bag work more advanced, David, is add some defense. Make sure it's not just all offense, especially on the hands. When I'm letting these arms go, boom, 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 and I'm hitting away, it's good to stick in, a few little things where you're like, okay, check, and then block, and hitting, and block. So you're just mixing it up and making it a little bit more realistic. Technically, I don't have too many critiques for you. When you throw your body shot, elbow is a little bit low, just very similar to what I talked about for Alex in the last video, except his was higher. Yours is down low. Still keep the elbow behind the fist, make it strong. And when you double up from your head to your body hook, sometimes, not every time, but sometimes try going 1 back to the head 2. So it's not always really quick and you leave your head too exposed for too long. Other than that, lovely video. Thank you for submitting. Next up, we have a submission from Hans. He is focusing on 1 combo, jab, upper, hook, cross. He looks solid. He throws it over and over. I'm a big fan of this type of pad work sometimes to just really get down combinations and make them one of your staples. Something that you will be able to use if you get hit, you get rocked, and you're not thinking straight, or if you're tired, you just have something that you can just bang off and go to and you know works really well for you. Plus, as you start slow, you can really think about all the details, and then when you start getting faster, you try to make sure you're not getting sloppy with it. So I really like this pad work that Hans is doing. Hans, the one critique for you, only one thing, one big thing I really see is 1 perfect, 2 perfect, 3 perfect, 4 follows through just a little bit too long. I don't like how long it takes for that hand to hit and draw back. I would just suggest 1, 2, 3, 4, right back, as opposed to 1, 2, 3, 4, and drawing back a little bit lower. Kind of looks Conor McGregor-esque, the way you throw your cross. So if you are fantastic at evasion, you know that when you throw it and it comes down low, you have to roll or fade back. So when you let your combo go, you're ready to do that, then that's okay. But if that's not something you're spectacular at, crispy on the rechamber. That's the only thing I would point out to you. Thank you for the nice boxing combo submission. You guys know every once in a while when you see somebody in the pads and you go, woo, that guy could be a future champion. Well, that's the type of video we're looking at right now. And this is Kyle doing some bag work. And as soon as he starts moving around, I go, whoa, this guy's looking sharp. Looks pretty young, has lots of room to continue building his skills. Those kicks look on point, crispy. I think he has probably a traditional martial arts background, either karate or taekwondo. He has a good style for MMA, very bouncy, arms are out, so he's ready to catch, very evasive, very quick on the hands. And that spinning side kick that you throw, whoo, that is looking sharp. Make sure, Kyle, that you get very good with your hand positioning at tight defense as well. A lot of guys who have the long defense, their footwork is spectacular, which it looks like yours is, but if they get hit and they never practice tight defense, the fight's pretty much over. So if you can make sure that you're really good and proficient at this position, picking shots off, especially with your elbows, and you have that footwork which you have in that long guard, you will be very hard to land on. When you throw your round kicks, be very careful that it's not always landing with your foot, sometimes getting in and landing with the shin, especially when you're throwing to body level, because if you throw with your foot consistently, eventually you're going to land on an elbow. In a fight, it's not pleasant. I've done it before, catching that foot, and then if you throw like that every time, you're 1 point as well going to sort of hyperextend the joint through the ankle. So make sure you get really good at landing with your shin. You're already good at landing with your foot, but you want to be able to do both. Aside from that, man, I don't really have much to tell you. I know you could be a future champion just based on your technique, your skills that you're already demonstrating, as long as you have the mental mindset and the fortitude to push through any little obstacles that might come your way. I think if you want, you could push through and win some titles in the future. Next up, we're looking at some shadow boxing in the backyard. This looks like a fantastic spot to do some work. Nice open space, nice beautiful trees around you. I'm a big fan of training out in nature. I'm gonna give you a couple things to work on. The big one at first is the back foot as you throw often steps out and moves, which means all the weight is on the front foot. If we ever put all our weight on one leg, it's gonna take away from our ability to generate power because we can't twist our hips as well. So as that right hook comes, make sure you sink your weight down and really focus on twisting those hips as opposed to having the back foot slide out and move a little bit. Also, I can tell that you are taking the time to really work on your technique. You're trying to be very crispy, but that often means on your last punch, you let it hang out for just a little bit longer than the others. I want to make sure that when I finish my combo, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, back. 1, 2, 3, 4, back. Instead of 1, 2, 3, and taking that extra split second to check your technique. Start your round slow, everything controlled, but still work a consistent speed of hitting and pulling right back to your cheek. This is something that many people need to work on. I see it very often in people who are learning the sport. Basically, either spending too much time correcting their technique, trying to check it out as they do it, or potentially for some people, I've seen this as well, even in advanced fighters, just spending a little bit too much time sort of patting themselves on the back with their technique. It's kind of, and they check it, and they check it. Make sure that doesn't happen for any of the subscribers out there, anybody watching this video today. The last punch of the combo has to pull back just as fast as all the other ones. There should be no pause, no hesitancy in rechambering and pulling back to guard up that head. Other than that, the video is looking good. Keep working on increasing your speed and your output. You don't always want to do everything kind of 70%. Sometimes you just let those full-on bursts happen where you're moving around and just and you really want to get that technique on point with the speed. Something to work towards, of course. Guys, we are wrapping up now this episode where I critique your footage. Like I said, we have so many submissions. If you guys want another round of me critiquing shadowboxing, bag work, pad work, let me know in the comments below. I will do an episode number 2 because I still have so many submissions that I wanted to include. But honestly, I have to limit the time of this episode. Otherwise, I'll be here for another couple days editing, going through video submissions. It just takes so much time. But if you guys want it, an episode 2 can definitely happen. And remember, we're now moving on to sparring and fight footage, which you can also submit to the email down below. And a big thank you to everybody in the video today, everybody I featured, who took the time to send in footage, who took the time to train and get as good as you are becoming. I really appreciate it, and congratulations to you guys on achieving and improving in a sport that is very difficult. That's all for us today, guys. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like. If you haven't already, join the channel and get subscribed. Train hard, guys. I'll see you back here soon for another video.